back, baby.
Offense, you know what to do.
It's football time in Tennessee.
Yes, you know.
Get this Tennessee.
All right, everybody, welcome in. This is the latest episode of the 1796 Sports Podcast. This is your host, Bryce. I'm back in action. A little under the weather last week, but here we are. So the Tennessee Vols just beat George Mason, covered the spread, won by 21 points, 87-66. Yeah, we'll get right into it. What did y'all think about that game?
Well, first half, as always, I feel like this team starts off really slow and just takes them a minute to find their place. I feel like it's been really just it's like a usual thing nowadays, it feels like.
Yeah. I think George Mason is a decent offensive team. They came into this game ranked 96th in KenPom, which is perfectly respectable for a team of their standing. But, yeah, it's like you said, we do tend to start slow against these lesser opponents, but I think that's just the result of the type of basketball we choose to play, which is defense first. And if the shots aren't falling, these slow starts are pretty common.
Yeah, I mean, that was also, George Mason, that was their first loss of the season. So I don't think it was, too surprising. Granted, they don't really play anybody, but they came out tough at first. It was 39-26 at the half. But, yeah, so obviously, Tennessee Connect. Somebody fact check me on this, but this might be the first game of the season that Connect didn't lead in scoring.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard when Adu just could miss.
Dude, I know. Like that's immediately going to stand out to everybody. Is Adu was the leading scorer with 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists, and a block. Adu was 7 of 11 from the field, made his only free throw, and was 2 of 2 on 3-pointers. So there was the Adu coming out party tonight.
Absolutely, and talking about Connect, I mean, I still think he's hurting a little bit from what happened last week. So I didn't really expect him to do a whole lot tonight. I don't know how many minutes he played, but he definitely played a lot less than he has been playing.
Yeah, so he hadn't been coming off the court, but tonight he played 25. He played the least amount of any starter. So
yeah,
And I think that was their plan, though.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So
you shouldn't have to need him to drop 37 to be beating George Mason, which he didn't, and we still won. So
yeah, Adu needed that game too, though.
Yeah, he did. He for real did, because everybody's been talking about it, including us. Like, we need to see more from him, and he he stepped up good. So somebody else who stepped up, Awaka stepped up. I mean, that was nice to see. I mean, Awaka came through with 11 points and 7 boards.
Well, I think he's finally healthy. I think he's finally getting to where he's – I don't think he's 100% still. I think he's probably 90%. But, I mean, being out those big games, you could tell it's a big thing with his team. I mean, he's got to be healthy.
Yeah, I think the loss of Awaka for those few games, I mean, that could not be understated how important he is to depth in the post. I mean, that's probably why Adu had a terrific game tonight. He didn't have to play 30-plus minutes because Awaka is just not much of a drop-off. I mean, I think if we had Awaka in one of those last 3 games, we'd probably squeak out a win in one of them. I think he makes that big of a difference.
Well, I agree with you, and that's why it was frustrating. Like, we've talked about it a little bit, is how, the depth in the post is a little concerning. But, tonight proved when Awaka's in there, should be good enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wish I could just give Adu like 20 pounds. I'd give him 20 pounds. He would be an absolute sledgehammer.
Dude, I mean, it's nice to see him. It's like we just – I mean, it's – after you play 3 of the best big men in the country, like, I think Adu's up there too. I just think, he's not used to playing 3 games in a row against 3 probably NBA players. Like, I think he's perfectly serviceable at center. And I think he's going to be one of the best big men in the SEC. Like, I think it's just about who he's been going up against.
Ryan, what did you think about your favorite player, Ziegler's performance?
Well, the one thing I always think this about Ziegler is it looks like he's doing a ton on the offensive end, but he's really not. I mean, he had 6 assists. He always has assists because he handles the ball a ton. But I texted it to y'all during the game. Like, he takes too many threes for my liking. I think he should be a spot up shooter. I don't think he's that good off the dribble. But, and on the defensive end, people tend to shoot over him because they realize, oh, this guy's not as big as I'm used to. So they shoot over him. And that if you really pay attention, that happens a lot. But whenever Ziegler is, stealing the ball and taking it away and not letting them get to a spot where they can shoot over him, it's fine. So
yeah, I mean, if he's not – but if he got 2 steals tonight, but if he's not getting steals, he's a defensive liability. But,
yeah, I agree.
That's fine. I mean, that's what his role is. You're not really expecting Ziegler to go lock up the best player on the other team. But what do y'all think, Jim, especially, like, what do you think about Vescovy? Like, why does he – I don't know if it's something like that's being coached or if it's just personal choice. But last year, he was, like, the go-to guy. Like, he was not afraid to shoot last year. And this year, it seems like he's fine. Like, he's kind of being in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I posted on Twitter. It looks like he just doesn't. I wouldn't go as far as saying doesn't want to play basketball anymore, but like the fact that I don't care what anyone says, he is the best 3-point shooter on the floor, and he had a couple opportunities where they're giving him 2-3 feet of space, and it's like he'll do a pump fake and he'll pass the ball, or even he'll do a pump fake, they won't even move, and he's looking to pass the ball. So I don't know if it's a mental thing, or I don't know his personal issue of what happened, but that could be a big factor. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah,
it's like. Bryce, you just said it. Like last year, he was the man, especially after Ziegler went down with his injury. I mean, he was our main guy for points. So, and he's proven that he can do it even when he's getting a ton of attention. And this year, he's getting far less, but he just isn't being as aggressive. So,
well, I know he doesn't have to be, but like sometimes he probably will. Like we struggled against in Maui. We struggled a little bit, and it would have been nice to see last year's Vescovy come out, So I feel like especially in the SEC games, it's going to be kind of hard. You're probably not going to get 17 points from Adu every single night. And Connect is incredible, but I don't think it's the smartest thing to rely on him getting 25 a game.
No, I think Connect's going to be a 16 to 18 point average in the SEC play. I mean – because there are teams that are just not as good, that really I'm not worried about. But like A&M, Auburn, Auburn's looking real good this year. You got a bunch of weaker teams like Vanderbilt, not worried, But this game right here, this George Mason game, was a good. Adu said it during his interview. It was a good getting back on track game. Mm-hmm. Defense was slow to get there. A couple minutes into the game, and they finally woke up and was like, okay. I mean, the fact that we're putting 87 up on the scoreboard is great, but I would love to be able to see the defense keep teams to 55, 50 points. But
yeah,
it hasn't been a thing. But George Mason isn't a team to just throw away. I mean, they're going to probably be in the tournament this year.
Yeah, I mean, Kim English is a good coach.
He's not their coach anymore.
Yeah, it's what's his name? He was on the Final Four team. Yep, Skin.
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
I have a bold prediction for this team. Freddie DeLeon back in the fall tonight did some good things. I think with these next few games you play Illinois this weekend and NC State on the road, but those other 3 games will be a good opportunity for him to get some good experience, good minutes, and he might even play in those 2 games I mentioned just now too. But I think he's going to be a key depth guy come conference play.
Oh, the kid has the talent. You could tell. I mean, and he's also got the attitude. The kid wants to be on the court, like you said. We were texting during the game, and you even said like just coming off with that attitude, he's going hard to the paint right off the rip. So, and that's what this team needs. And Triple J, man, Triple J is playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, that was the type of game you needed to see from him too.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was awesome.
The last thing I want to say is, does DJ Jefferson exist, or is he just a myth?
I feel like there's more going on to that, though.
Yeah, I would like to know. I mean, the one thing I've heard is that he's struggling to pick up the offense, but I think he's probably one of the most athletic guys we have in the program. So it'd be nice to see him get on the floor sometime this year.
I'm sure we'll see him. I mean, you can't risk losing a guy like that.
Yeah.
We're just getting him rested for SEC play, Ryan. Nothing to worry about there.
I hope so.
So, we're moving it past George Mason. Next on the schedule, you got Illinois on Saturday. Illinois looks like they're about to handle FAU, who's a good team, a really good team. So, Illinois is legit, I think. I think that's going to be a good test. I think that's probably one of the games that we kind of underplayed a little bit at the beginning of the season. That looks like it may be a little tougher now than we thought. I don't think that's going to be they just beat Florida Atlantic by 9 points. I think that's a pretty good win.
They were home though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason I think this game on Saturday is a must win. You're playing at home.
The crowd needs to show up, please, for the love of God.
You need a good win before conference play. Like this has to be a game that you win, and I will be disappointed if we don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to say must win early this season, but it would definitely help things. That's for sure. I mean, you'd be sitting at 5-3, and you'd have wins over Syracuse, Wisconsin, and Illinois. I mean, that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
This is a game though this weekend that Tennessee, the defense needs to show up. There ain't no it's gonna take 5-6 minutes to just start working. It needs to be there from the get go, and I'm sure that this team's gonna do that. But just these past couple games kind of get me a little nervous.
Yeah, I want to see good defense that turns into buckets on the other end. I think it was 2 years ago we played Arizona around this time last year at home, and we jumped on them immediately. We had like 17-4 lead in like 3 minutes. If we can do that and sustain that momentum throughout the whole game, it should be a win that is not too hard to get. I mean, you're playing at home. You need to ride the momentum. This is the first home game of the year that people are going to be there for and really be there to be loud. So you really need to use that momentum and get this win.
So what scares me about it, though, is Illinois is number 1 in the country in rebounds. They're getting 45.3 rebounds a game. And they're also second in defensive rating. So they play defense and they rebound better than almost anybody. So that's a little concerning to me. I feel like we don't match up that well with them. But like you said, it's at home, and hopefully the crowd shows up. That's definitely going to be a game that the crowd needs to get involved.
For sure.
So can we talk about some Lady Vols?
Yeah.
Please.
And I know most listeners probably won't, they probably don't watch Lady Vols like I do. Anything Tennessee related I watch that's on TV. But I don't know what's going on with them. Like, this team is they have the talent, and it's just, you're just giving games away at home. They had the lead all game against Notre Dame. They gave it up, and they get blown out by Ohio State, blown out by Indiana. I mean, it's just, what's going on with this team?
They have been lost in the wilderness like Moses and the Jewish people for 11 years. Like it is ridiculous that the standard has dropped this far. I mean, we're sitting at 4-4 in December. Pat Summitt probably would have resigned at 4-4 in December. Like the standards for Lady Vols basketball should be up there with like the same as Alabama football or Duke basketball. Like and people at the university, whoever has let it just sink to this level. It's unfathomable.
So is it a Kelly Harper thing?
I don't see how it isn't. I mean, she's been here this will be her fourth or fifth year. So
it's about time. There's definitely better options that you could go. I mean, like you said, this is like the Duke of men's basketball. And you can get a big-time coach to come in and coach his team. And now I get it. They're missing their top scorer, Rickea Jackson, but still. I mean, that's like kind of like a Dalton Connect situation to where with Connect off the floor tonight, we still would have won this game.
Yeah.
So you gotta start looking at the coach there.
I mean, it's just underwhelming. I mean, like, what are you gonna do? I mean, Kelly Harper, everybody wanted it. It's like the good story, you know. Like everybody knows she played for Pat. You know, everybody wanted it to work out. She's had success everywhere she's been except Tennessee, but just look at her stats since she's been here. I mean, 25-12, 25-9, 17-8, 21-10. It's not horrible by any stretch, but it's not the standard that we've come to expect.
No.
And the postseason success, obviously.
Yeah, you've been to the Sweet 16 twice, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the overarching. Like you haven't been to you haven't won an SC tournament championship since 2014. You haven't won the SEC regular season since 2015. You haven't been to an Elite Eight since 2016. You haven't been to the Final Four since 2008. Like what? We're in the wilderness, searching for sustenance.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think most people would put Lady Vols as a blue blood program in women's basketball, right? And
for sure,
you're not. You haven't been that. I mean, like you said, it's been almost 20 years since you've been to a Final Four.
Yeah, and I being at the University of Tennessee for my time there as a student, the talk was always there's kind of a Lady Vol cult that never wants a man to coach, never wants anybody not associated with the program in some capacity to ever coach it. If we ever want to get back to where we were with Pat, we're going to have to get rid of that mindset. And I hope Danny White has the nuts to do that because it's just a shame what's happened to the program. I mean, the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame is in downtown Knoxville, and the program we have to show for is not worthy of that. It should be moved to UConn at this point. Like that's how far we've fallen.
I mean, they're not even going to make the tournament at this rate. Like,
no, I mean, we needed overtime to beat a horrendous Memphis team. Like, we're lucky to be 4-4.
Let me ask you all this: at what point do you think it would be? At what point do you think Danny White makes the move? Like
the end of this year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you lose to Middle Tennessee,
that it's different. If you start losing games like that, yes, it'll be probably a little bit sooner.
It just doesn't seem like the type of move that's going to happen during the season.
They could still turn it around, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. 4-4. I mean, you could go on a nice run here, and I mean, they should win these next 4 games and be 8-4. And then you get the conference play. Then it's, a little different story. But they don't really have a tough game for, a little bit. And you need to get back on track. Rickea got to get healthy, and we'll see after that.
I mean, the season's definitely not over by any stretch. It's just the frustrations are boiling over because you have a sustained lack of success, really, compared to what is the expectation. And some of that may be unfair because, like Ryan said, I mean, just the expectation that comes along with this program is very, very hard to reach. And 99% of coaches probably will not be able to do it. But that's the same thing. I mean, that's how it is when you win. I mean, if somebody goes and whoever replaces Nick Saban at Alabama, they're not going to have a whole lot of patience for that guy if he loses games. And it's
for sure.
It's the same thing here. I mean, you're following, and I know Ryan's favorite coach, Holly Warlick, but there's just an expectation that's not being met, and it's probably not fair to Kelly Harper, but that's how it is.
Well, I mean, she knows full well the expectations when she took this job. She was a part of the three-peat in the late 90s. And you said earlier, I mean, everybody knows it's a good story that Kelly Harper's the coach. I mean, she was the point guard for those 3 years. And it's like if T. Martin was the head coach, the quarterback for the 98 team. Like, you can't let the past overshadow what's going on now just because they did something for you when they were a player.
I do think Tennessee fans are kind of prone to that, though. Like the rose tinted glasses, like when Fulmer came back several years ago, and when T was back on the coaching staff a few years ago. It's like, yeah, it's a cool, cute story, but it's not the best person for the job, and that's probably what's going to happen to Kelly unless something miraculous happens. But I think the current trajectory, I mean, do we all feel pretty comfortable that she won't be the coach next year?
Unless something miraculous happens.
I need her to make at least the Sweet 16 again, if not the Elite Eight, for her to continue to be the coach.
When was it? We haven't made an Elite Eight since like 2014?
2016.
Yeah, I mean, that's, it's 8 years ago. I mean, if you're a blue blood program, which we are, can be 8 years between your Sweet 16 appearances. I wouldn't say at least every, few years.
I mean, it's I actually watch them like Jim does. I'm sure you do too, Bryce. They do not play how the Lady Vols should play. They don't get rebounds. They turn the ball over. They blow leads. Like Rakia Jackson didn't come into the game and give up a layup.
That's what I was going to say. It's like
we had a 16-point lead and we blew it.
It's sloppy. It's not like the teams that we grew up watching, Ryan. Like when we were growing up, it was just a completely different standard. It's like when you watch, it's what you see when you watch South Carolina now. It's like the fundamentals are good. You know that they're not going to make stupid mistakes. If they have a lead, they're probably not giving it up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exactly the opposite now.
If all that continues, I mean, I don't see how she doesn't get shown the door at the end of the season.
I mean, do y'all ever feel safe when we have a lead? Because I don't.
No.
Like, it's just it's very strange and disappointing. But like I said, I hope she turns it around. I mean, all of us like Kelly. Like, I don't want her to get fired. Ideally, she would go on a crazy run and have all the success in the world. But it's just not looking like that's going to be the case.
Yeah, you just can't be shy to do what's best for the program if you're Danny White. So we'll see.
Well, we do have some little football news to get to. So
the best part of the day. I'm so excited to talk about this.
So we'll start with the negative news first, get that out of the way. Jim, you want to update everybody on Mr. Pierce?
I mean, is it really negative, though?
Well, he was charged with speeding, driving on a suspended license, failure to present insurance, registration improperly displayed, and improper window tinting.
Okay, so as a ex-cop, I'm going to tell you right now, that is not a big deal.
Yeah.
They're going to give him a slap on the wrist, tell him not to do it again. It's fine. I've seen people with worse still play professional sports. So,
honestly, to me, it sounded like he was probably being a smartass, and the cop just threw some charge on him,
or just telling him do you know who I am?
Yeah,
type thing. I'm the second leading sacker in the SEC, and the cop's probably like, I don't watch football, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
See, the thing to me is 20-year-olds, they're prone to being this way. They're prone to making mistakes, but for me, it's about what happens from now on. You need to make sure that he's staying in line now. Like this can't happen again, or you'll end up like Georgia,
Well, yeah, that's
where you end up in a tragedy where you're speeding. This is the third driving related incident this year with the players on the team. So you can't end it like Georgia ended it.
But
Yeah,
hey,
but-
but like the latest greatest Astro Smokey says, I mean Tennessee's back, right? I mean after that, that's it. We're back.
Yep. I mean, that's the thing. I don't want like people to, this could also be clipped out of context and this could age poorly, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I don't want people to make some big thing out of this, like Josh Heupel doesn't have control over the program or something. Like, I don't want any stupid takes like that. Like you said, Ryan, it's college kids that have egos, and I mean, so far nothing egregious has happened. I mean, every program in the nation, when you have 90 kids on the team, like they're going to do some stupid shit every once in a while. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, none of our players have killed anybody. Like other SEC teams can't say that. So,
yeah, I mean, it just can't become a pattern. That's the concern, and I'm sure it won't, because the one time a player has done something like this is Liberty's current quarterback, Caden Salter. He got popped for weed within a month of each other twice, and he was gone. So Heupel set that precedent as far as team discipline off the field. So I'm sure he has everything under control. It's just the college kids being college kids. So,
well, we got some pretty good news. I guess it's not really technically official, but we can still talk about it. So it looks like John Campbell's coming back.
Oh no, that's official. That he's coming back.
Yep. Chris reported it. He put out his video, which was hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, it was great. And I hope that people realize how big of a deal that is, because our three most important linemen are all returning.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, that's where we don't know yet. Cooper still hasn't really said like officially that he's coming back, but everyone just expects that he is.
I just think, like, yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm not going to write about it or anything yet, but I think it's a pretty good indicator that Spraggins and Coop didn't participate in any of the festivities. I don't know why you wouldn't if you're not coming back. I mean,
yeah,
things can change, but
yeah, the tea leaves from based on what I've been reading on VolQuest and elsewhere, the team feels good about Omar Norman-Lott and Omari Thomas coming back for another year too.
Oh my God, yeah, and Keenan Peely.
Yes,
and this team could potentially be really scary next year. And I'm not saying we're winning the Natty or anything like that, but going from, I mean, at the beginning of this offseason, we were all talking about how much we were losing, but we're not really losing that much.
Yeah, it's looking like it's not going to be as bad as we thought it was going to be.
Absolutely, and that's great because, I mean, if you keep Pierce in there, you get another edge. You got Jordan Ross coming in. You got Boo Carter coming in, Mike Matthews, Braylon Saley. I can go on I got the big list, and that's fantastic. Fantastic. And Keenan Peely is a dog, bro, and I felt so bad that he got hurt because that dude can play some football, and he's a leader on the field, and getting him back is a big, big deal.
So did we see, is it official that he is going to get an exemption?
So I think he's – so cause I can't remember who exactly tweeted it, but it was someone from 247, and I'm pretty sure it's for sure he's coming back, and I'm going with he is coming back because no one said he isn't. And that's honestly, other than Amari Thomas, I feel like that's our biggest one coming back so far. And Norman Lott too. He's played incredibly as well.
Yeah,
dude, just imagine like Norman Lott comes back, Big O comes back, and Walter Nolan. Just imagine.
Walter Nolan. That's one we definitely got to talk about. I feel like. He's going to be wanting a bag, though. He's
for sure. He'll want quarterback money, probably. But I do want to talk about just real quick before we get into who we want. We do have a couple people that have entered the transfer portal.
Yep.
Now, granted, they can come back. A lot of times, people will, try to gauge the interest and they'll come back. Which, honestly, Warren Burrell, who cares? Brandon Turnage, who cares? Addison Nichols is probably the only one that could matter.
Yeah. So the thing about I'm sorry, Bryce, to jump in here.
No, go ahead.
He was highly rated. He was one of the gems of Heupel's first class, but a lot of the rumors make it seem like he showed up to fall camp horrendously out of shape, and he just hasn't even put in the work necessary to even sniff the field. So I don't know if that's that big of a loss either, if he's not going to put in the work.
And then you have Mo Clipper Jr. and Jack Luttrell. So
Jack was probably the only one that really caught people off guard.
Yeah, because he was just a freshman. He wasn't a redshirt freshman.
Yeah, I mean, and he probably was in line for some playing time pretty soon. But
well, that might mean they've told him we're looking at guys to put over you. Maybe that's the positive spin, at least.
Well, it's kind of nice though, because I mean, we could have a complete overhaul of the secondary pretty much.
Yep, for sure. So, but the five we just mentioned, nobody that's crucial.
Yeah, well, at least not yet. I mean, there's a lot of time left, but
sure. We're still in the
big name. The one big name has not thrown his name in there yet. So
I don't think he is.
I don't either.
I think. I mean, you got to keep him. That, especially with Wright leaving, how do you not keep him?
Just take the $500K that Wright was getting this year and transfer it directly to him. Simple.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't he have announced it by now? Because I mean, the deadline was. I know that it opened yesterday, but I feel like he probably would have already had people in his ear.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, like Jim said, pretty great start to the portal so far. I don't think you can be disappointed at all. I mean, we thought we were losing several guys that we now know we're probably not going to. So,
well, we also have the number one receiver and tight end coming to town this weekend for a visit. Justin Jolly, which we spoke that into existence. I don't care what anyone says. Vol Twitter, I don't know if you've seen every other post that he got off, Twitter had 20 to 40,000 views. Ours has almost 1 million. So I feel like that's a done deal. I think.
Well, I mean, this is just proof that Danny White reads our tweets.
Oh, he does. How do you not? Vol Twitter is absolutely bonkers. You'd be silly not to. I mean, look at all the ideas he got for the stadium. I mean, most of it's from Vol Twitter.
I mean, Vol Twitter gets coaches fired. We get recruits scholarships. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I really hope we get Justin Jolly just for the memes. And he's a hell of a player.
I want Juice Wells, not only because he's good, but I just want to shove it in the Gamecock's face, bro. He, the whole time he just wanted to be on a winning team. So he wants to play in bowl games.
Dude, I mean, South Carolina right now is in
shambles.
They have they're close to 20 players in the transfer portal right now.
Yeah, Rattler's gone. Oh my god, it's
It turns out your shucks, let's go get them guys and be happy for beating Jacksonville State doesn't play well. You dumbass.
Yeah, your weirdo coach that takes moral victories from barely beating FCS teams. That's just embarrassing. And I hope it backfires tremendously. So Arkansas is losing a ton of people too. And this is kind of what I was wanting to talk about a little bit. So I feel like Tennessee is in a very fortunate position where we have an amazing fan base, an amazing amount of money. We have a great NIL collective, a great group of alumni, and I feel like we're in a pretty good position right now for the future.
Oh, and yeah, bro.
If you're someone like Juice Wells, I'm not trying to be a homer at all, but if you're someone like Juice Wells, why would you stay at South Carolina? What? Why would anybody, unless you're from there and just are a fan of the team, why would anybody go to South Carolina or Arkansas right now?
I mean, there's no reason other than staying home.
Exactly.
That's about it. I mean, dude, this kid There's a reason he didn't play this year. He wanted to get fully healthy to hit that transfer portal, and the only team, I mean, obviously it's off of on 3. The only team that he's probably a good spot of going is Texas, but I know the number he's asking for, and I just don't know if Tennessee's going to give it to him.
So I kind of want to talk about who we for sure offered so far. Justin Jolie, of course. UConn.
Is it Jolie or is it Jolly?
I've heard Jolie, which Jolly sounds cooler, but I'll go with Jolie for now.
J. Giles, that's what I'm calling J. Giles.
JJ.
The J to the J, yeah.
So he's 6'4", 215, perfect size for the offense we run. 11.2 yards per catch last year. Incredible. We've already offered him.
Oh, he's coming, boys. I hate to tell you, he's coming.
And then going on from him, we've offered Marley Cook, 6'2", 300-pound defensive lineman from MTSU, all conference level, and a team captain at Middle Tennessee. I think that's a good pickup if we can get him. We've offered Remington Strickland, 4-star offensive lineman from A&M. And this last one is the most intriguing to me. I would like to hear y'all's opinion on it. Saeed Gibbs, 6 foot 180 cornerback from Rhode Island, FCS freshman All-American.
Bro, I watched this tape today. That dude, he's gonna have some offers. That guy is good.
So yeah, those 4 that I think those are all terrific offers, and I think we'll have, of course, more than that. So I think we're doing amazing so far.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just started. The portal just opened. There's going to be a lot more names that drip in there. But what I want to get to is what's coming in 2 days. I think Tennessee is about to land a 5-star offensive tackle.
Well, 247, big highfalutin, high up guy at 247, said that we're in a great spot for him, and it looks like it's going to come down to us, Ohio State, and Oregon. So. He is the target for us, and whatever he asks for, I think we should give him. He's a program-changing type player.
I know that number too. Trust me, you'd be sick.
Well,
it's worth it. It's worth it. And he's going to be probably an immediate starter, and I think he could do it. The kid's 6'6", 290. I mean. I just want to say the quote of what you were just talking about. Steve Wiltfong off of 247, who's the biggest recruiter on 247's page, says, as the dust starts to settle and December 17th draws near, I like the way this is starting to sound for Tennessee.
Let's go.
And that's a huge get. And Heupel, I'm pretty sure, is doing an in-home visit tomorrow. And if I'm him, I don't know. I can't remember. Sorry for whoever I'm taking this from. I can't remember who I saw it on Twitter from. But he needs to bring Boo. He needs to bring Boo and someone else, Mike Matthews or Braylon Staley, and you need to go recruit him, or another offensive lineman, Max Anderson, somebody.
Oh, dude, Boo has been a great recruiter.
Mr. Football, bro. Mr. Football.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's an early enrollee too. I just found out.
Awesome.
He'll be practicing for the bowl practices. I'm pretty sure.
Love it.
I'm telling you, I tweeted it way back when. He will have a statue one day. I don't know what it is. This kid is just. He's electric.
Seems different. He seems different.
Yes, absolutely.
From a different fabric than most kids. So, okay, I think. If we want to go ahead and move on, Bryce, do you have anything else on portal and anything?
Yeah, I was just going to tell you guys that Rocket Sanders just entered the portal, so Arkansas losing their best player other than KJ.
Well, I think he's going to end up going to well, I don't know. What do you guys think about this college football thing, the playoff with Florida State being out? Does that hurt Florida State's recruiting trail? Because the fact that they're kept out at 13-0 conference champions, and they're kept out just because of a quarterback issue or whatever.
I think that's a really good point because, well, granted, we don't know what's going to happen with the ACC, but I don't know if y'all saw at the beginning of this season, FSU was pissed at the ACC. So who knows what's going to happen, but that's a great point because if you're a top recruit and your ultimate goal is to win championships, I think you would look at this and be like, oh, well, if I go to the ACC, I'm going to get dicked over by an SEC team if all things are equal.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand why you would. I mean, Florida State's a great job. It's a great school. Like, they have a lot of tradition. I don't think they'll have a problem getting recruits. But I think where it will hurt them, could hurt them, is if it's Florida State or Alabama or the last final two schools for somebody, I think that will factor in. It's like, well, as Alabama and other SEC schools are always going to get the benefit of the doubt over the ACC schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why what you're talking about, Sanders, is I think that's a great fit for him.
Yeah.
But you look at that and you look at him and it's like, hey, I could just go play for an Alabama or Georgia, Tennessee, whoever, and still have a chance to play for a national title.
Well, and that makes a lot of sense because he's from there too. So he's from Florida. So
he could go play for Florida. Who knows? I mean,
oh God, I wouldn't.
Because think about it, ETN's leaving. So,
So
a lot of excitement going around.
A lot of quarterbacks are in the portal. A lot of quarterbacks. Now, obviously, I don't think we should be in the market for them, but it's going to be interesting. It could definitely have an impact on the SEC because look at all the schools that could be in the running for that. You know, like you have who knows what KJ is going to do. We don't really know anything yet. I mean, they said he was going in the portal and then he refuted it a little bit. So who knows? But like Will Rogers of Mississippi State, there's some rumors that Dylan Gabriel could go to Mississippi State because of his OC.
You're not going to win there, though.
No. Why would you go from Oklahoma to Mississippi State?
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be strictly a coach just because of the coach. I mean, I do think, though, what do you guys think about Florida? So I don't know about Graham Mertz. I mean, Graham Mertz is not going to be a top draft pick or anything. So I don't think Florida should be totally out of the running for these transfer portal quarterbacks.
Probably not.
I think Mertz is their guy for next year for sure. So I don't know. I feel like that's a Billy Napier thing.
What about Brock Vandegrift from Georgia?
Yeah, he seems. I think Kentucky was wanting him, but dude's 5 years of playing at Georgia and still not a starter. So I feel like it's just he's played 3 games, I think, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. It's interesting. It's.
I mean, you got Tyler Van Dyke out there, you know, ton of starting experience at Miami. You got Dante Moore from UCLA, Cameron Ward from Washington State. So it'll be interesting, not for Tennessee, obviously, but it'll be interesting just to see where these guys end up and how that kind of changes the landscape.
Yeah, I think for wherever it ties into Tennessee for any type of transfer quarterback is looking for a backup.
Yep.
So probably somebody who's not, probably somebody who's looking to go into coaching after, like just somebody who's competent enough to learn an offense and run it, averagely. If Nico were to go down and Mertlinger wasn't good enough yet to take over the keys. So, I mean, just guys that are middle of the road, not looking for the NFL, that's probably who we would be looking at for a transfer quarterback.
Somebody tweeted it to me, and I apologize, I don't remember who it was, but somebody suggested A.J. Swan from Vanderbilt would be a good backup for Nico, and I actually don't hate that. I don't know if he would want to be a backup though.
I just don't see him being a starter in the SEC. If you get what I'm saying.
That's true. He might prefer to be a backup in the SEC to a starter for like Akron.
Yeah, well, I just don't see him going to a school like that. But I could see him going to maybe a smaller like Big 12 school, or maybe even like a backup for Colorado type situation,
Yeah.
to where he wants to just, I don't know. It's kind of confusing.
Because he wasn't even he wasn't even like the starter of Vanderbilt. Like
Yeah.
him and Seals split time, so one of them would be a decent. I mean, you could do worse than that as your backup, but it'll be interesting. I love transfer portal season, man. There's a lot of
Yeah, this
there's a
is
lot
going to
of
be topic of discussion on this podcast a lot. Plenty of time left. Like I said, Thursday we're going to have to do a podcast after if he announces he's coming to Tennessee.
Expect some emergency pods in the next month or two, because hopefully we'll get the chance to do a couple if some big stuff happens. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Well,
so guys, I really want to talk about. I know we kind of touched on it. I want to hear everybody's thoughts on the actual decision that the playoff committee came down to, putting in Alabama over Florida State.
I think it was a business decision. I think
100%.
Because you think about it, you keep Alabama out of here. The only team I'm pretty excited about to watch is Texas.
Yep.
Because it'd be a boring playoff if a team like Alabama or Georgia wasn't in it.
Yeah, it's just they got it 100% correct. If you talk about 4 best teams,
I don't think that either, though.
Well, I was about to say Georgia's probably one of the 4 best teams.
Georgia's better than Washington and better than Texas.
Yeah, probably.
I think Alabama proved it. I'm not going to say that they're better than Alabama. Alabama won, but I still think it's a very close race with that situation.
Yeah, it's just the thing about the playoff is they've never had any. This is what we decide on. This is what we're gonna This is what we're gonna weigh more than the other. There's never been anything like that.
Well, here's the thing about it, and this is all you need to know, in my opinion. To anybody who doesn't think Florida State got screwed or doesn't think it was a business decision, and shout out to Astro Smokey, he wrote an amazing piece on our website. Everybody go check it out if you haven't. But let me ask you guys this. If Deion Sanders was the coach at FSU, would they have been left out?
Hell, no.
Absolutely not, because it's all about ratings. And the logic – so when people say Florida State would have got killed, they're not one of the 4 best teams without their quarterback. That's true. We all agree with that. Like, Florida State with Tate Rodemaker is not one of the 4 best teams. However – this is the argument I was making 2 years ago with Cincinnati, and it was the argument I made last year with TCU. Cincinnati was not one of the 4 best teams in the country, but the committee didn't care. They put them in anyway because of their resume. Mm-hmm. Now, all of a sudden, the committee is changing what they prioritize, and, it's actually not about resume anymore. Now it's about competitive games. Bullshit. 2 years ago, it was just about resume.
Yep.
It's so hypocritical that this is the same committee that put Cincinnati and TCU in just because they went undefeated. Okay, but you don't do that for Florida State because they'll get killed. Well, guess what? Cincinnati got killed, and TCU was a part of the most boring championship game of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the logic is just not consistent, and that's what makes me mad about it, is because there's no consistency from year to year. It's all, like NVF said, it's all about ratings. That's all they care about. They don't care about being consistent. They don't care about rewarding the most deserving team. It's just about what will do best for TV.
Absolutely. And, I mean, like we said, if you're putting the best 4 teams out of the top 6, I mean, Georgia, Alabama, 100%. I'd still put Texas over a couple of them, and I think Michigan's in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to bring up Michigan. Like, if the committee's going to dock Florida State for losing their quarterback, why wouldn't they dock Michigan for allegedly cheating the last 2 years?
Because it's an intriguing storyline. Like,
exactly.
Everybody will be
it all comes back to ratings.
Yeah. And, I mean, like NVF said, I think Georgia would absolutely beat the dog shit out of Washington.
And Michigan.
Yeah, probably. But, it is what it is. I mean, I don't think anybody's really too surprised to hear us say that the people in charge are invested in great TV ratings. I mean, that's not a bold take.
Right. Who knows, man? There's so much stuff going on with the NCAA in general to where it's got to be fixed.
Yeah.
Well, we get a 12-teamer next year, so
Gonna be interesting. And honestly, now, I mean, like I said, we did our predictions for the season before the off season. I can't wait to where it gets close enough to where we can predict after the transfer portal, recruiting, and all that stuff for the Vols, because it's starting to look real good.
oh yeah, our July episodes are going to be fire.
Oh yeah, it's good. We'll see. We'll keep it on the low key at this point.
Anything else y'all want to get to tonight?
I mean, I'm good. I got a lot out. I feel like I said Thursday we'll probably be back on here. I'm really starting to feel a lot more confident.
Come home, Jordan.
Please
Go Vols, baby.
go Vols.